Well, hello there. Hello there. It's Quincy here going live. What's up, Poncho TV? Hello, Slovenia? Cool. So, actually, let me do a mic check real quick. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I have absolutely no idea if my mic's working. All right, cool. Should be okay. All right, sweet. No, awesome. So, let me make sure this is good. Yeah, my mic is like a hit or miss. Either it can be fine or it's just like not works, and then I don't know it doesn't work until someone's like, "What did you say?" So yeah, so here's my new live stream. I started live streaming yesterday because it was like, why not? And I'm like, why not start live streaming some more? Like, screw it, you know. So I figured today, I wanted to live stream and kind of go into sort of the broader ecosystem of future NFTs and what that could look like. Because I see a lot of people get kind of hung up on the idea of NFTs just being pictures, and that's not entirely the case. The one reason that NFTs like to be in pictures, or they're typically are pictures, is it's easier to get a hash of a picture. So it's really that's basically it. It's just easy to make, and that's the thing, because it's a representation of a picture, and you're able to get that hash outside of an NFT. You're able to prove that that picture is that NFT. So it ends up being like kind of most convenient method of creating an NFT, but it's not the only way. And what up from San Diego, Croatia? What up, guys? What up, guys? Wow, it looks like people are actually trying to storm in here. Okay, yeah, it looks like people are definitely piling in here. So let me hold that thought for a second. I'm just gonna say hi to you guys for a little bit until we get a good amount of people in here. It seems like, oh yeah, look at this, look at this. You guys are piling in. I love it. I love it. Have you looked at Omni Project NFTs? They do animated 3D NFTs. I have not, but that sounds interesting. Now, the thing about animated NFTs is I think you're gonna end up seeing in the future, almost like digital items in video games, not and custom digital items in video games. I think you'll see something like that really pop off with 3D NFTs. Oh, cool. So David done a video recently about NFTs and how it can help with real estate. So one cool thing about dealing with NFTs in real estate is, well, actually, before I even get into that, because it's actually kind of interesting when you look at a lot of this. So what is, it sounds silly to say it like this, but what is anything? Like, if I had a piece of paper here, and this piece of paper says $1 or money or currency, and this piece of paper says this is a title to a home, and this piece of paper says it's a bond. Like, what makes that? And at the end of the day, it just comes down to legal recognition. So that's what's going to happen when it comes to real estate and NFTs. Is it really comes down to, you can have a hash of the title of a home, but if no one recognizes it, it's not really anything. But getting it to be legally recognized will open up a whole slew of opportunities, because now you can automate that with these broader ecosystems. Can you develop NFTs for tangible art? So you sort of can, and it's not the same way people do it with digital art. So you got to remember, it's a digital representation of what that object is. So if you wanted to have an NFT of like physical art, you could, but the NFT would most likely wouldn't be of the art, or it'd be a compilation of the art and whatever receipt that you prove that you own the art, and that would be the NFT, and then however you go about that. But it really just comes down to proving that this object is this, and that's the key thing about this. All right, let's take a look at some of these other questions before I really dive in. You guys are still piling in here. All right, let's see. Ooh. I see that. Actually, I got a better way for this, because I was doing this earlier, and it's a little bit easier to see. So it's bright as hell out here, as you can sort of see. So I'm gonna see if I can pull off the. Here we are. Is XRP to Ripple in similar way? OMG token, the OMG network, similarly OMG network and Plasma protocol. So I don't know exactly about OMG network and OMG token, but Ripple was a company that was formed after the creation of XRP to use XRP to the fullest extent that they believed that they could use it. So XRP was a created open source technology, and about a year and a half after it was created, Ripple was formed, and they primarily used XRP for their business operations. So I don't know how OMG is set up, but that's how Ripple's set up. Let's see. You seem like you seem to be a person who values free will and liberty in the space. So
I can trust to an extent that your grounded mentality. Was wondering and doing a lot of deep hole research. Oh, appreciate that. I thought it was gonna be a question, but it was kind of just. No, I appreciate that. All right, cool. So I guess before I get too into anything, so I kind of started off my like private consultancy a little bit for a little bit. So if you guys want to meet with me one on one privately, I've got a calendar invite, or I've got my calendar settings down in the description. You can go sign up. But the whole deal with that, before I get into this live stream, the whole deal with that is to really there are a lot of people out here that are on their own journey for how they want to go about interacting with these technologies and really like engaging in the space. And it seems like a lot of people don't know where to go. And I'm kind of just really trying to lay myself out there of, hey, look, if you tell me what you want to do, what you're looking for, what you want to know, and how you want to go about that, I will set up an entire, let's say, like a scheduling plan for you to get the documents, the resources, and everything that you need to be able to do that, on top of having me be able to explain it with you one on one. And oh gosh, sorry, it's like so reflective out here, and you can probably see it in my glasses. Look at that. Like the ground is white, so it's just. But yeah, it's mostly to whatever your journey is in the crypto space right now. Look, if I can just do even one little thing to help you sort of guide your wherever you're going, whether you want to build stuff, whether you want to learn more, whether you just want to invest and you want to make sure that you feel like knowledgeable about the thing you're investing in, you can come down, you can meet with me, and we can talk about that. We can figure things out. So yeah, that's basically that. Let me see if I can get more into the my original agenda, which would be NFTs. So if you guys have any NFT questions, although I would challenge you guys to ask NFT questions that aren't entirely related to art, because art will literally be a fraction of a percent of all the NFTs that will be in existence. And people like to think of art because, like I said, it's easy to create an NFT of an art or digital art. So, oh, look at this. Do you think the NFT partnership of Ripple and Mintable will be serious competition with Ethereum? So one thing I think everyone should think about here is when it comes to these decentralized platforms, the competition isn't the same as you would think as with corporations. So it's actually good that Ripple is establishing NFTs, and it's good that Ethereum has NFTs. And what's going to end up happening is there's going to be interoperability between the two. So what's going to happen, and that's the thing, there has to be, because it'd be silly for there to be these siloed ecosystems with all these people operating off of them and not being able to trade cross ecosystem. So it's not that it's really like competitive; it's really bringing more to the intraledger ecosystem of all the different technologies interacting with each other, and it actually just brings more liquidity to everyone involved. So it's not bad. NFT is a scam. No, NFT is not a scam, although a lot of scammers use NFTs. So that's kind of the way you should look at it. But that's the other thing too. When it comes to the crypto space too, and I'll say this for everyone watching, when it comes to the crypto space, there are a lot of people that really don't know anything that are perfectly willing to sell you dog shit. Like they're perfectly willing to sell you whatever you think that is. That's thing. It's not you, but they're willing to just say whatever it needs to say and just have you say it just to do whatever. And that's where you get a lot of these like scams and a lot of these like dumb projects that come into play. And at least for me, I care like about the foundation of the technology and the growth and what I can do and what other people can do and what we all can like interact with. And I don't know, it very much pains me to see that the space is like almost taken as a joke because of like kind of the amount of like crap that's going on in it. And I don't know, I very much do not like it, but so let's take a look at this. Domain names, crypto domain names is kind of inevitable, but you just may see companies pop out with their own .crypto. That's basically it. I don't think it'd be anything like. I mean, don't get me wrong. With those .crypto domain names, you'd be able to like send, receive, and do a bunch of other things on top of that. But I think you'll end up seeing it be more of a kind of a. I think you may end up seeing it more of a new addition to how we look at the .com, just with crypto in a sense. So .crypto organizations will have .crypto, blah blah, whatever. All right, cool. It looks like your questions are coming in these are interesting questions. Can you visualize a use case for NFTs and virtual reality training to address gap of awareness and holistic health? All right, cool. I'm glad you have a very, very, very in-depth, interesting question, but I'm like a software developer, not a holistic health awareness expert. So I'm not entirely sure how that could help, but I don't doubt that you could do something with that. So oh, look at this. NFTs are the future of copyrights, intellectual properties protection. Have you seen any assets that specialize in the case of NFTs? So here's one thing that everyone needs to take into consideration. Yes, you're 100% right. Everything you said there was awesome. But one thing that you should really take into consideration is every single platform that can create like any single platform that can create another currency on top of it or create another token on top of it can create an NFT. It's not like it's some special thing that you need to do. It's mostly just identifying an object and listing it. Now there are platforms that are explicitly just for NFTs, and then there are marketplaces that are explicitly just for NFTs. But for the most part, a lot of these platforms could hypothetically put out their own NFTs, and it's because you gotta remember, an NFT is a non-fungible token. It's a broader idea of what this token is. It's not explicitly this software or this thing. It's a broad idea of how this token interacts with other tokens. So Ledger XDC, when will it happen? Okay, so here's the let me move this over here. So first off, if I know this is gonna be a little silly here, but if you want to see XDC on Ledger, freaking oh gosh, this is so funny. So everything that XDC and Zinfin has done to be on Ledger, we have submitted. We are good. We submitted the code. We submitted the app. This has been months ago that we've done this, and Ledger is dragging their butts. They are dragging their butts, and it's funny too because Zinfin told me, they're like, look, if you want to tweet at Ledger and try to get a commotion going, maybe they could expedite it. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I freaking should. Like, I see so many things that we've already submitted that's just waiting, like literally just waiting in the pipeline, and people ask me about it, and I'm like, oh god, like it should be out. I don't know why it's not. It's annoying, but yeah, everything's already coming through, and there's some stuff online about it too. Like you can actually download the code itself and put it on your Ledger. It's not very user friendly, but you hypothetically could do it. But yeah, Ledger is just dragging their butts on this, and it's very, 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 very much pains me that we aren't on Ledger right now, because we very much should be. Let's see. All right. Looks like the questions are dying down a bit, so I think I'm going to go into my little spiel about the futures of NFT ecosystems on top of the integration of currencies within those ecosystems, on top of having automations that are able to regulate those. So what does that all mean, right? So one thing that we should all take into consideration when it comes to the future of crypto is not all crypto is going to be money. A lot of crypto is just going to come down to securing different objects on these decentralized ledgers, having the consensus to see what objects what, and then being able to all operate with that consensus in this ecosystem together by being able to keep really good accounting of everything, whether it's money, whether it's inventory of items, whether it's automation on top of that. It's really just really good accounting on top of everything. But there's going to be an ecosystem. So you're going to have your payment methods, and these are going to be your basic settlement tokens for payments. You're going to have your smart contract systems, and you're going to have your different cryptos that are going to be used for those smart contract ecosystems. And then you're going to have a whole cluster of NFTs from a whole bunch of different systems. But the big reason why these NFTs are going to be this whole cluster is, even though they're all going to be on a bunch of different platforms and being traveling all over the place, they're all going to be used as recognized objects. So what's going to happen is you may go like, oh, I've got this NFT of, X, Y, and Z. And you may not even know what platform it's on. You just know that this is the object that you own on this platform, whatever. And that's what's going to end up happening with a lot of these. And why is that? So with the smart contract ecosystem, you got to remember, we're going to have a ton of different smart contract ecosystems all doing different things. And those different ecosystems may have their own setup of NFTs, and they may have their own micro ecosystems within there. And they may have a bunch of different things when it comes to automations for their micro ecosystems and just a whole bunch of other things too. But what ends up happening is, and here's the beauty of it, these smart contract ecosystems are going to be the ones that are regulating all these NFTs on the internet. And the reason for that is these NFTs don't mean anything by themselves. And if you let's say, for example, someone mentioned a copyright. Having a copyright of something is cool, but not being able to prove that you have the copyright is useless. So being able to have the NFT do nothing on its own is absolutely worthless. You need to have it binded with a smart contract that can do some sort of logic and evaluation, and then go ahead and do whatever it needs to do, like copyright. Let's say you had a copyright NFT of some music you may have had, and in order for someone to play it, in order for them to prove that music is your music, they would go to the smart contract. The smart contract would regulate how the music is issued. It would prove that the music it's trying to play is from this token, blah blah blah, and do whatever it needs to do. There's an ecosystem that works with this, because everything by itself doesn't do anything. It just exists, but it exists uniquely. So that's the beauty of it. So we talked about these automated ecosystems, and we talked about these NFTs, but what about these currency systems? So these automated ecosystems with smart contracts are going to be using a bunch of smart contracts to automate not only the the NFTs, but also the payment methods when it comes to those settlement tokens. And obviously, the smart contract systems will have their own native tokens, but you're going to need those main settlement tokens to be able to jump from one smart contract ecosystem to another smart contract ecosystem very, 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 very liquidly. Because if you can't do that, well, then what's the point? Look, if I'm trying to sell you an NFT on Ethereum and you can only buy it on Algorand, then if I can't even make the payment over to you because I've got ETH and you've got Algo, then what's the point? So there needs to be an ecosystem in which people are able to transfer wealth from one system to another system to another system with high level of liquidity and really low friction. So you can not only be able to buy those digital assets like those NFTs, but you can also trigger smart contracts that can potentially trigger other smart contracts and other platforms to do different automations. So that could be cool. It could be really, really, really cool. Do I got everyone with that? I know it's a lot. I know one thing I'm trying to do is I like breaking things down, but like we're barely getting started with some of these things. Like the NFT ecosystems, this may seem new and technical, but this will be like the standard, dude. Like everyone will be going, oh yeah, NFT ecosystems. You mean like you mean like eBay or Amazon or any other website now that has an ecosystem? It'll be literally like that. It'll be so ingrained. It'll be no different than how we interact with the internet now, except the backend would be a lot more secure, it'll be a lot faster, efficient, just better all the way around. But yeah, did I keep up with everyone in there? Because I know I went on a little bit. I know a lot of this is new, but that's the thing. I think a lot of it's gonna be mainstream. A lot of it's gonna be there, and that's the thing. I think it's gonna be almost universally known that this is just how it is. This is just the new internet. So let's see what questions you guys have off that. Let's see, non-fungible token assets seem like set contracts created to fund governments using taxes on small businesses involved, build consumers free. So what you're describing there is you're describing an idea to be executed on these networks. Non-fungible tokens are a general it's an idea. So it's kind of hard to say that this is being done for that and this is being done for that, considering the people that you're claiming are doing this are like almost like entirely incompetent when it comes to these technologies. So I don't even know if they could if they even wanted to. but no, non-fungible tokens are just it's a abstract idea of a unique object on these networks. That's what you want to think about when you think of NFTs. Now it's easy to do it with the picture, but you can also do it with the title. You can also do it with anything. And you can that's the thing, you can create an arbitrary NFT that's supposed to be paired to an item. As long as it's legally recognized that an NFT is paired to that item, then that NFT is practically that item. That's where you're going to get into proving ownership and proving all this stuff. But let's see. Okay, cool. I love this. So someone asked, how do they compare with copies of music that aren't NFTs? So when it comes to, this is one thing you want to think about. It's not that when music is operating as an NFT, it's not like there aren't going to be other music that aren't operating on an NFT. It comes down to that legal recognition. So let me give you an example of why this is super important and why you'd want to do something like this, because it would actually keep people from ripping you off. Now, let's say you're an artist that, you produce music, and let's say there are, parroting sites, or there are different softwares out there trying to rip you off and pull and whatever, right? And you want to make sure you can operate independently, but you didn't want to almost essentially be under the thumb of any one organization, because that would essentially happen if you went under Spotify. And that's the thing, you're not really under them one, you just abide by their rules. And there's sort of that. So what if you wanted to take your music, package it in a smart contract? And that's the thing, the NFT of your music is just a representation of the music. The smart contract would actually be the executable. But let's say you took an NFT of your music and you put it into a smart contract. Well, if you want to say, hey, if you want to play my music legally, aka I won't sue you, you have to execute the smart contract. And that's essentially how it is. The legal recognition of you executing the smart contract to play my music essentially allows me to know that we're legally operating in a manner that's effective. Because anybody else that wants to do the same thing with that smart contract, well, they'd be going through a smart contract that's not you, and you can go sue them, basically, assuming that they were within the bounds of you being able to do that. And that's the thing. This doesn't mean people aren't going to be able to rip people off. This just means that it's just more of a automated and mainstream way of being able to do something like this. Not to mention, it makes it a lot easier to just tap into people's smart contracts for cheap and then play their music than it is to just rip them off. Like, I don't think people understand, but if you actually make the barrier to entry to be able to tap into a lot of these different like art music, like different music, art, whatever, and it's just so much easier to tap into and very, very easy to tell if it's real or fake. Well, it just puts a lot of pressure on the idea that it's easier to use the technology than it is to try to skirt around it. And the reason why people do so much of that now is because it's just easy to duplicate things. You can duplicate anything. So it's easy to take somebody's music. And that's the reason why I say this is if you're operating on a decentralized network and your smart contract has, your NFT for your music in it, well, if anybody else puts a smart contract with that NFT in it, they'll know it doesn't belong. It's not theirs. See what I mean? And there are ways that you can create different algorithms to package these NFTs because people can try to put filters and try to tweak it and try to do a bunch of little things to try to skew off the hash. But there are ways that you can actually get you can basically get almost like a hash library of the object that you're trying to create. And then if parts of that hash library match up with parts of the counterfeit, you're able to prove that it's counterfeit because if it was unique, none of it should match. But like I said, these are going to become more of expanding ideas on what NFTs are going to mean in the future because, like I said, we're literally like we haven't even got out the dugout. It's the first inning, and we haven't even got out the dugout. Let's see. Oh yeah, FYI, I have a scammer trying to get folks on WhatsApp. Yeah, that seems to happen to a lot of people online. First off, just in general, if you see anybody just trying to spam the comments with WhatsApp anything, like that is just by far the most sketchy thing ever. Like, do not respond to anybody who's trying to get you to respond to their WhatsApp in the comments. That's just even if they're being legit, it's sketchy. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. So that's I hate that. And that's the thing, like, I don't understand what YouTube's deal is. Like, it's a consistent thing on all these channels. And it's like, it seems like it wouldn't be that big of a deal to try to get rid of. But yes, I'm uploading the stream. Don't worry, guys. Ooh, okay. What if you make a commercial for McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell as an NFT video and they're able to use it? Yes. You guys are already ahead. Awesome. So this guy, I totally forgot what your name was because it scrolled away. But somebody basically just asked, like, okay, well, can somebody take a commercial, package that as an NFT, put it in a smart contract, and then put that into a broader ecosystem with display their ads on a video platform? Yes, 150 zillion% freaking yes. Like, and that's the thing. It's gonna be entirely automated. So the people that are running their content that's playing these advertisements will get paid on demand based off the triggers for these smart contracts. And that's the thing. So what would actually be a little bit different when it comes to advertising smart contracts than a traditional smart contract. Typically, you would go pay the smart contract to execute. But what would happen is if you're an advertiser, you want to go execute somebody else's smart contract. So there would actually be almost like a competitive market of advertisers trying to compete with a bunch of other content creators' smart contracts to essentially get the highest rate to play their advertisement, and it would be all entirely decentralized. So there'd be no way for any one person in the market when it comes to advertisers to have any sort of leverage on anybody else in the market because they all have to compete on decentralized networks. So there's no way anybody can get an upper hand in regards to ad rates, in regards to sponsorships, and it's the most free market thing you could possibly think of, and it's automated. Let's see what else is in here. So someone says, I see this hurting small business and helping big businesses in the long term. I don't see that at all. You got to remember. So one thing that I think all of you guys should look at it this way. Big businesses should be on their back foot right now. This is not good for big businesses. And the reason for it is the barrier to entry to do a lot of these technologies is becoming lower and lower and lower. And a lot of these giant companies have to basically validate the cost of business. And that could be billions of dollars when somebody like me could very easily create a smart contract that automates it. And it would cost me 1/100th of the cost to do so because it's automated on a decentralized network while they're trying to manage, they got their employees and they got their buildings and they got their pay and these businesses cannot compete in the same way that these decentralized organizations possibly could, or just individuals operating on a decentralized network. Because like, how are you supposed to compete with somebody whose cost to operate is just so beyond cheap? Like it becomes absolutely insane, like how are you supposed to compete with that? So I actually think it's the exact opposite. I think individuals and small businesses have way more of an upper hand, mostly because they don't have to validate all these obscene costs. Ooh, I like this. All right, somebody got another good one in here. So on a large scale, you can have a browser that can have access to a smart contract, and in that smart contract could be an NFT, and that could just have the rights to display an image. Absolutely. So check this out. So let's say you are an artist, and this is where the art portion comes into play, but not the way people think it does. So let's say you're an artist, right? And let's say you have like a bunch of like you create like millennial type art content. I don't know how to like really describe it, but you like the BuzzFeed type, you know, the BuzzFeed type cartoon animation images. And let's say you create a bunch of them, and people like them. You know, they think they're cool. And let's say a bunch of other websites wanted to list your images. So either A, you could sell you could either sell the NFT to them, but there's, in my opinion, there's no real need to if they're only going to use it once for an article. So what if you can use the smart contract that allow them to trigger that smart contract to list that image on their article just for the people that are going to be testing? Like, why do they need to buy the NFT if only like 1,000 people like read the article? Like maybe, and that's the whole point. So they can pay on demand how much they would need to pay for every person. And I think it could be something super cheap, and there'd be a whole collection of these different NFTs that are all being displayed on the web page. But the main point of it is, and here's the beauty of it, the journalism site and the creator may not even interact with each other at all, because the journalist site can just can just connect to the smart contract of the creator, and the smart contract will just execute, and they can asking the creator to have one website executed or 1,000 websites executed for whatever images they may have. So it automatically streamlines it to the point to where it's automated in a sense to where you can take your content and have it listed elsewhere on the internet, but also get paid for it on demand. Sweet. Oh goodness, what's this? So, as crypto NFTs become more mainstream, do you believe there will be a high demand for programmers? If so, how can one learn about the infrastructure and behind the tech? Cool. So, yeah, actually, there's a programmer shortage now. There's like a shortage of like a million program, and that's like I didn't believe it, but like I'm like, and it's partially with COVID too. It's kind of weird, but they're like in the software development space, there are people getting paid absolutely obscene amounts of money doing something that in my opinion, it's so weird to describe. It's so weird to describe. There's a huge shortage, basically. So there's this giant upward pressure on the price of developers or the cost of labor because there's just a huge shortage of them. And that's the thing. In crypto, there's almost none. Like like in comparison to the entire like software development space, crypto may be like 2 or 3% of all the software developers. Like most of them are dealing with traditional infrastructures, cloud infrastructures, app development, web development, the classics. But when it comes to where that's going to go in the future, I think you're going to see more no code to low code tech like analysis jobs pop up, and more of these technician automation jobs pop up more than you see just developers. Because people like to think of in tech, they like to think of developers, but developers build the tech. They don't maintain the tech. I mean, they do in a sense, but you end up having a bunch of other people that are non-technical that maintain the tech. It's usually an operations team as opposed to a development team. So what's going to end up happening is yeah, you have a lot of developers building a lot of interesting technologies, and these technologies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think the biggest thing would be how many people are getting sort of into the tech space, but not explicitly as a technical person. It's being able to interact with these technical uh, pieces of software for the business needs. So it's like you need to be smart business wise, but you also need to be able to use the software that the developers created. You see what I mean? I think that's where the big thing's going to be. Now, obviously, if you want to become a developer, there are many avenues and tools. I'm actually going to drop a video about that, so I'm not going to get too into it. I'm going to drop like a 10-minute video talking about exactly what you can do and exactly what you should look into and exactly like how you should really formulate going about it. Because don't just pick a language for picking a language. Don't just pick a framework for picking a framework. Don't just do something because you think it'd just be cool to do. I think the biggest thing is if you could see yourself building something in some form of way, how would you do it? And I don't mean it as in like you're a developer. I mean, if you were to hire somebody, how would you do it? And then hire yourself. But I'll get more into that in my own video. So, ooh, complete independent movies as an NFT licenses it out to Netflix contracts. Or Is that already in Netflix, or is that something you're suggesting? I can't tell if that's a question. It's okay, though. I'll come back around to it. Thank you, Quincy. You bring the best bridge of adoption into the crypto space. Keep pushing forward. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being in here. How many are in here? Oh, almost 140. That's awesome. Yo, you guys are all awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Let's see. Yeah, so someone's asking, is there low code to no code software that exists yet? Like Microsoft Power Apps? Yes. Microsoft Power Apps is probably like one of the biggest, I would say probably one of the biggest how should I put it? The biggest enterprising software out there for low to no code applications. But there's a whole movement for it. There's a huge movement. There's a ton of different technologies out there. Probably most of them that I've never heard of, you never heard of, whatever. But there's a huge movement. You could definitely find the resources for it. And it's going to be more and more of a thing, not because developers are going away, because regular business / administration type people need to be able to do their jobs, but their jobs are becoming more and more technical. So, freaking fly flew by. So what ends up happening is they need to be able to interact with the environment that they're operating in, which is more technical, while still focusing on whatever their business administration needs are. So that's why no code to low code is becoming huge, because it allows people to do technical things without being technical themselves. Let's see. Oh, we got another question here. Oh, my phone fell. We've got, how can those NFTs be set up to pay dividends legally? Should the accounts be classified as assets? Our securities. Oh, here we go. The question that answers them all. Are these packaged NFT equities, or are these packaged NFT financial instruments considered equities, securities, or what? And, well, that's going to be interesting because, in my opinion, a lot of these are going to be packaged as equities and securities. But the thing that's sort of weird about it is the way to package an equity or security usually requires some form of regulatory compliance. And that's usually just a bunch of paperwork to fill out. I have no idea what that's going to look like in regards to a decentralized system that's operating in that manner that could pay dividends to anyone in the world that doesn't have to go through a broker. So it ends up with a weird question of, well, and that's the thing, like if it was a security, you do realize like you have to go through a broker to handle securities. So what happens if I buy a Tesla stock on a decentralized network? And I'm just saying Tesla stock, we can get way more into crypto equities in these packaged, but let me just use this. If I bought a Tesla stock on a decentralized network and I sold it to somebody in Brazil, do I have the legal right to sell that? Does he have the legal right to buy that from me? Like, what does that mean? And that means it's the exact same way when it comes to packaging NFTs in these smart contracts. Like, do I have the legal like right to package my music in as an NFT in a smart contract, and then have people be able to pay that smart contract, and then I get dividends, and maybe I wanted to sell a portion of that NFT, like 10% as equity in the NFT for the people that invested in me, and then now I got investors into the NFT package that's in the smart contract, and I'm getting dividends and they're getting dividends, and like what? And that's the thing. What happens if they take the equity they have and they they sell it to somebody else, and then that person's getting the dividends and I'm getting the dividends, and some of them, you see what I mean? It becomes a logistical nightmare in regards to what the regulatory anything is. Like, what? That's the thing. How do you enforce that? Like, if I just sold something that's classified as a security to somebody in Brazil, like, and then they sell it to somebody in the United States, and neither one of us had the legal right to do so. Like, how do you enforce that? It's a very, 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 very weird. Very, very weird conundrum to be in, and part of it has to do with these decentralized networks totally change the way we interact with each other online. So, yeah, it's gonna be nuts. How does ownership of NFT work in the NBA? I want to purchase. Looks like some rookie card, but what do I actually hold? Yeah. So here's the thing that I don't really know what the deal is with a lot of these. So I see this a lot too when people talk about like trading cards or like just whatever. And technically, what would happen would be, and here's the thing I don't get. So obviously, this is going to be something that you're going to have to kind of dive into, but here's sort of my perspective on it. So technically, the NFT would be basically generated off of the let's say some original data coming off that card. So let's say it was just a what's it called? Not a screenshot, but just it was just a someone took a picture of the card or whatever, and that's just it. Well, you have a representation of the card, yes, and you have a representation separate from the card, yes. But where's the like recognition? Now, just because everybody acts like it's recognized could work like it's recognized, but then once things start getting legal, like things start devolving basically. So I have no idea what that's going to mean in regards to your card. And that's the thing, I have no idea if they're actually giving you the card or if they're just giving you a piece of the card with an NFT and then just say I have no idea. Honestly don't know what the appeal is in that because like I said, what's the point of having an NFT if it doesn't do anything or it doesn't interact with anything and it can't. You see what I mean? That's the thing. It can be proof of ownership, but what's the proof of ownership if you don't if you either A, share it with somebody and don't have anything with it, or and I sort of get the idea of sharing different equitable packages that can be sold later. So the value of the card can go up and such. Just one of those things where it's I think it gets a little dicey because of the legal recognition for these things. And like I said, I think a lot of this can start devolving if the legal recognition doesn't really hold up. And that's the thing, that's not on me. This is all like this is a regulatory thing. I just don't know. And it's one of those things where if I was building something like that, I'd be freaked the hell out because I wouldn't want to, build this out this entire platform. And then, the CFTC or the SEC comes along and goes, yeah, so either everything you just issued is the unregistered security or you just issued out dog shit that didn't mean that card that you issued. Now, obviously, you're gonna go, "Oh, I didn't issue, unregistered securities. I'm sorry." And now all the things you issued aren't being legally recognized as the thing that they were. That's just my concern. I'm not an expert on the legal ramifications on that. It's just something if I was going to build on these platforms in this manner and do it in that capacity, it's like, how many do I get this legally recognized for you to buy and be able to trade? And that's the thing. That's all it needs to be. Once it's legally recognized, it's good. Boom. The NFT is the object. It's the legal representation of the object. What's the best blockchain for smart contracts? Wrong question. It's not what's the best blockchain for smart contracts. It's what's the best blockchain for me to use for my specific scenario with smart contracts. So the reason I say that is, well, one, there's a bunch of different things you need to take into consideration. Not all smart contracts are created equally. They all do different things. They all have different little features about them. They all have different aspects on how they interact with their ecosystem. They all have different ways that they can execute their smart contracts. They all have different payment means. They're all different. And you really need to evaluate that on an individual by individual basis based on what you're using it for. Because there's no point in saying, oh, this smart contract's the best smart contract. And then it turns out it doesn't have like any sort of like real like financial structure. So you can't use that. And it's like, well, if it's the best, then why can't you do it in this scenario? And it's not really how that works. It's more of, you can use these for these specific scenarios. And yeah, you can use different ones that could potentially cross over, but they all have their own unique feature sets that really set them apart. And it just comes down to what you're using them for. Like a good example would be, you may use Theta smart contracts to create a live streaming content creating platform, and that's cool, but you're not going to use Theta smart contracts for like individual finance or something. I might do something like that with XDC or Ethereum or something, like there are different use cases for these different technologies. And you got to remember, smart contracts is a generic term. That's like saying like that's almost like saying like what's the best language to code in. And it's like they do different things. This will do that, and this will do that, and like, this is easier than that one, I guess. But it's so general that it's so general, basically, that they all have their own little intricacies. So you got to evaluate them for that. Favorite unorthodox use of NFTs? I don't even think there's an orthodox way of NFTs. Everything that is going to encounter that, hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if the text that you see in this chat right here in the future, each block of text will be its own NFT. I would not be surprised. You got to remember, every digital object that can be uniquely identified can be considered an NFT. And that's the thing, I wouldn't be considered an NFT. It can be packaged in an NFT. So yeah, the unorthodox use case of NFTs is, well, everything. So I've been following crypto tubers for 5 years now, and Quincy rocks every time. Thanks. I appreciate it. Any thoughts on the McAfee smart contract SWACT? I think meme cryptos are funny, I guess. I don't know. Like, I guess that's all I have to say. Let's see. All right, looks like some of the questions are dying down. So I think I might wrap this up with one last like tangent, I guess you could say, one last thought. But I'm trying to figure out what would be an interesting way to go about this. I want to think of something interesting so you guys can be pondering on this after the live stream. I like getting people thinking, so when they come back, I'm not the only one talking. But what's a good way to really get those gears moving, to really show the power of smart contracts and NFTs and the ecosystems that they reside in? Okay, I got one. I don't know if I used this in my video before, but I'm going to use it here because I can elaborate a little bit more than in my video. I don't think I dropped the video. I think that's what it is. So let's say you wanted to create specific NFTs, and you got to remember, a lot of people picture NFTs as like images. Most NFTs are going to be like some ridiculous, like you got to remember, most tokens are just some ridiculously like stretched out hash, like it's string. It's not like just because the picture technically is the representation of the NFT is some ridiculous hash that comes out. So what you can end up having is, that's the thing, most NFTs aren't going to have some associated picture with them. They're just going to be they're intangible token, essentially, that is going to count as some sort of point towards that object that exists on the blockchain and or that representation. So let me get into it. So let's say we had Uber, we got Airbnb. And what's an interesting way that we could utilize NFTs in such a manner that people aren't familiar with, but make total sense and could totally revolutionize the way we interact with each other with these digital platforms? Well, here's an idea. So with Uber, and this isn't so much an issue with the Airbnb, but with Uber, how many times have you guys taken an Uber and gotten in the wrong Uber? And don't get me wrong, like I may sound like an idiot for this, but in a college town that happens like all the freaking time. I've actually had it to where me and my friends got into this other girl's Uber, and this girl and her friends got into our Uber, and then the Uber drivers like realized that it was very weird. It was very weird, but it happens quite a bit. So what if you had a smart contract platform that was operating off of Uber in some capacity that would allow the Uber driver, once they pulled up to your place, to generate an NFT token? This could be an arbitrary NFT token. All it needs to do is just coincide with the smart contract as that key. That NFT token can be sent to your phone, and then you can use the phone, and I'm going to be very, very meticulous about this. You can send the NFT token to your phone and then use the NFC, like there's an NFC receiver here, to scan let's say the car's a little bit more smarter or whatever, but let's say use the NFC to scan to get into the car. And that's essentially a way to get strangers to get into a car without having people that aren't authorized to get in it. Now let's say we take that same idea and brought it to Airbnb. So let's say I was going to package an Airbnb, and instead of trying to figure out all this stuff with keys, or even you can do this with hotels, try to figure out all the stuff with keys. Let's say all the key locks I had were all digital, whatever. I do the same thing where I generate an NFC, NFT goes to my phone. I'm able to use the NFC receiver as a scan method to get in and out of the home. And that's the thing. What if I'm not only able to stop at that, but what if I'm able to use that for a ton of different things that I can do that would essentially allow me to have access. So let's say not only can I use it to get in and out of the home, but also it can be received after the time is, or it can be rescinded after the time is done. So after, let's say I was there a week, all they have to do is essentially say, oh, this NFT is expired, and I can't get in the home anymore. And let's say it has like some special permissions where I'm able to have certain access to certain part of the house based off of, what's it called? What type of package I ordered for Airbnb. So let's say I ordered just a room, and that NFT token will let me into that room. But let's say I rent out the whole house, and then I'm able to have access to the whole house solely based off of that token's permissions, be able to have access to that whole house. If that makes sense for you guys, I wanted to sort of like, I don't know, I wanted to get your brains moving in a sense. I want people to sort of thinking outside of the box. It sort of annoys the hell out of me that people think that NFTs and pictures are synonymous, considering like, watch, there's going to be like a whole slew of millionaires coming up with like really silly NFT ideas that people will go, oh, that makes sense. I could have done that. And it's like, yeah, because everything's going to be an NFT. There's so many businesses that are going to be built off of the NFTs, mostly because you're able to keep track of these unique objects in every regard, both digital and physical. But it's just, a lot of people seem so focused on the picture portion that they totally miss out on like what the total like use cases of an NFT. And that's the thing, this use case is anything that you want it to be in the capacity that you need a unique token. Like that is it. You know, it doesn't have to immediately be A or B or C. It can be whatever you want it to be as long as the token needs to remain unique. But whew, I don't know. That seemed like a pretty good live stream here. I think I might just end it off with, I'm so honored to be here. I'm so glad you guys came to watch. And I hope you guys like learned something. And maybe if you don't mind, you can like start spreading the word that like there are cooler things to be talking about than some of these things, than the mainstream things people seem to be focused on. The entire world's about to change in regards to digital technology, and everyone seems to be focused on pictures and spending money at the store in regards to the overall economic automated ecosystem of these digital tokens and digital currencies and smart contracts that are basically going to make up the new internet. But yeah, spread the word, and I'll see you on the next one. Later. If I can find out how to. All right, later.